Perfect. You're all set. Samuel Francis is going to push that got a button on that screen there for you, and you were all set. Have a good meeting.
Thank you. All right. The Scituate School Committee is committed to providing an environment of respect during meetings. We ask all members to interact in a polite manner, even when there is disagreement. We value the participation of our community and want all participants, including marginalized and minoritized communities, to feel welcomed and respected. We ask our committee members and all who participate to commit to these standards to support and respect our community. Public comment will be available by Zoom, and community members can also email me at nbrandolini@cit.org today or anytime. Before we, I'm going to call the meeting to order. August 28th, 2023, Scituate School Committee meeting at 6:03. And before we move to public comment, just wanted to take a few minutes to acknowledge the passing of former school committee member Mike Hayes and his contributions to Scituate and to Scituate Public Schools. Our condolences to his family on his passing. Mike was a member of this committee for many, many years, over 25 years. Just a couple quick facts here. He served with 22 other school committee members over his time here with us. He attended in excess of 500 meetings over his time as a school committee member. He has pages and pages of just contributions to Scituate Public Schools. Some of that includes establishing the first school space study committee, implementation of an after-school program, approval of the formation of shore committee at the high school, improved access for handicapped students by installing wheelchair lifts at gates, purchasing wheelchair accessible vans, lots of contributions to athletics, intramural athletics programs, endless hours and time spent on curriculum and just building projects, including the Jenkins School and the new Gates School construction. It's athletics again, just lots and lots of music. Certainly was a passion for Mike. He was a strong advocate of the arts in Scituate. Personally, something that I have admired him for was his contributions to sustainability. Even just about a month ago, him and I had a great conversation about the new school building, and sustainability was at the forefront of that. He's an advocate for green building spaces and just a constant champion of students and student voice. So just wanted to send our condolences as a committee and acknowledge his passing and the service that he has given our community and our children. If anyone, I'd like to have a moment of silence, but before doing so, if anyone would like to add to that, be happy to have anyone speak that wanted to on the committee or Superintendent Burkhead.
I just wanted to add to that. He was always a great supporter of allies, not guys.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you, Ms. Brandolini, and a heartfelt shout out to the family and my deepest condolences as a man and as a professional. Mike was a mini mentor to me in the short time I've been around him. He's part of the committee that hired me. He would reach out regularly when times were tough during those COVID years with encouragement, even when he himself had a difficult challenge, as you all do on the school committee. Really challenging, difficult job, and to do it for over 25 to 30 years. That's just a commitment. All the conversations I ever had with him always went back to what's best for kids. And he was a big supporter of the arts, and just spoke with him, the last few weeks, always getting updates on the new school building, and he wanted what's best for Scituate, was passionate, was still contributing. So in his memory, I'll make sure I bring those wishes forward. And again, just wants what's best for kids. So our deepest condolences and thoughts and prayers go out to his family and to our community for this loss.
Thank you, Superintendent Birkin. Anybody else? Okay, just take a moment of silence if we all could, just to honor Mike's legacy here with us. All right, thank you, everyone. We will continue now with public comment.
Can I approach?
Yep, come on up.
Wanted to check Zoom.
I will do that while you
Need
get settled.
Hi, I'm Natalie Wagner. I'm at 457 Countryway. I have 2 kids in Scituate Public Schools currently. Over the summer, from July through August, the Bessie Committee has been creating the new Comprehensive Sexual Education, or CSE framework, for DESE. The draft framework for pre-K through 12 can be read at doe.mass.edu/frameworks/health/2023-07-health-draft.pdf. Although the period for public comment is now closed, a thorough read is advisable for all families to determine its acceptability for each. I would like to propose that at Scituate Public Schools, our school committee look at adopting a broad-reaching and easy-to-use system for opt-outs for this new framework if it isn't in place, such as the Google form that was used by the Worcester district. As the framework is named, it is quite comprehensive for pre-K through 12, all grades. Parents deserve an easy way to keep their young children safe from it if they choose. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wagner. All right, checking Zoom. Oh, Laura, yeah, go ahead. I don't see any Zoom that you know.
So even though Natalie and I live on the same streets and sat next to each other, we didn't coordinate this. My name is Patricia Waite, 695 Country Way, and we do not have children in the school system at this time, but we do care about how the schools are performing. As Natalie just mentioned, the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education issued the draft Comprehensive Health and Physical Education Framework. It was out for public comment, it ends today. Many parents in the community actually provided feedback, we know that. This framework includes guidelines that 5 to 8-year-old students should learn about gender identity, masturbation, abortion, and more. It states that at the end of grade 2, the student should be able to define gender and gender identity. Of course, we have to see what the final framework looks like when it's published, but it's also heartening to know that school systems can opt out of this, and that we can actually opt out of it. And I would stress that unless dramatic changes are made, that Scituate should actually opt out of this part of the framework. Harkening back to comments I've made and others have made, focus really needs to be on improving our academic achievement as we lag our peers in the immediate region. We know that the Supreme Court has reaffirmed the commitment to meritocracy, so now Scituate schools can embrace academic rigor as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, not seeing any hands raised on Zoom. Okay, no further public comments. We'll move forward here. New business, school handbooks. We'll start with our elementary school handbooks with the principal, Riordan, and Oldak, and Williams, and Sheehan. Riordan, I don't know why I did that. Sorry.
We do it all the time.
Good evening.
Hello.
Thank you for having us. It's good to see all of you again. I'm going to just go over the changes, and then my colleagues here will hop in if I forget anything. So I did an executive summary, which I think you have a copy of, correct? Okay. So I'm just going to go down that. If you have any questions, we're happy to answer those for you. So on page 3, we updated the new mission statement, core values, vision, and the admin team, because Mrs. Sheehan has joined us this year. On page 4, we updated the school committee members, And we also updated the report card dates with the terms. On page 6, we updated the asbestos notification and we added a website link. So now there'll be a link that will take them straight to the website where they have the asbestos notification. On page 7, we updated the due process procedures. On page 17, we added the website link to the home instruction procedures. On page 17, we removed language pertaining to office hours, since those are now retired. On page 17, we revised language around lockdown procedures. On page 19, we moved the non-discrimination policy and we added a link. So in the handbook, everything is in alphabetical order, and for some reason that was not in alphabetical order. So we moved that and we added a link to that. On page 19, we updated language regarding school councils, although I know tonight you're voting on that. So we will have to go back and revise that so we can link that to the most current policy.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Timing.
On page 21, we updated language regarding school property. On page 21, we removed language regarding school-sponsored events. It really did not pertain to elementary school, it was mostly middle and high school. On page 22, we removed some language regarding suspension and expulsion because that was covered under the due process. On page 22, we updated the words sex education to health education. On 24, we added the subtitle of technology. This is something we're starting to run into a little more and more in the elementary level with kids bringing smartwatches and phones and such. So we added that in and then we included the link that takes them to the school committee policy. On page 24, we revised some language regarding transportation. We found that language to be quite punitive and negative, so we tried to revise that to make it more positive. On page 25, we just added here that bus routes will be posted on our website. It said that they were posted in the Mariner, so we updated that. And then on page 28, we just changed one little word. It would say that for outdoor recess, students may go outside for recess, and we just changed that to will go outside for recess, weather permitting, of course. So those are the changes. Do you have any questions for us?
Questions, anyone? Will they be signing on Aspen parents or, okay,
Yeah, so once it's approved, and again, we'll update the school council one, so the copy you have of the handbook, we'll have to update that again, and we'll send you a new copy, and then we'll all have them posted on the website, and then we will probably also send a post out to parents saying that the handbook is there,
Okay.
and they can go on and sign off and ask them.
just want to make sure it's easily accessible. Great.
I'm just waiting for this.
Question. Formulating currently.
So can you just specify the language that was changed on the lockdown procedures? Did you just add shelter in place?
That's a really good question. I do not remember what we did there.
Did you add that they're not allowed to use their cell phones?
Hang on. Oh, okay, wait, it's coming to you. Oh, thank you. Oh, I know. The very last line said, students who do not follow instructions during a lockdown or shelter in place order may be subject to disciplinary consequences. So we took that out.
Okay.
Because again, in the elementary school, it's really about teaching and learning, not so much about punishment.
Okay.
And they're just learning how those work. So we took that language out. Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you all very much. All right, Principal Beatty with middle school handbook. Oh, sorry, we didn't do the vote. I flipped my page over. Sorry, Ryan. You made that up though. All right, votes required. We have a motion on our elementary school handbooks. I'm not looking at you.
I can make a motion. Remember Robert's rules though,
Yes.
right? Should we have done it before they start?
He said it's fine.
Oh, good. I will make a motion
She.
to approve the 2023, is it not working? Here we go. I make a motion to approve the 2023-2024 elementary school handbook as presented.
Second.
Okay, motion by Mr. Gates, second by Ms. Barkowski. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes 5-0. All right. Robert's rules in order. All right, we are now ready for the Gates Middle School Handbook.
Excellent, thank you for having us, or me. We have just a few updates for this year's handbook. On page 5, we updated the district mission statement to reflect our new and improved mission statement. Page 6, we updated our school committee members. Page 7 and 8, we updated our staffing list to reflect our staff for this upcoming year. On page 9, we updated our district calendar, the dates for trimester and report card publication. On page 9, we reworked our language around agendas. As we are seeing more and more students struggle with executive functioning, we are going to require students to use a school issued agenda provided by the Course Foundation, so thank you to them. On page 12, we updated the link for students, staff, parents, caregivers, and community members to report incidents of bullying, intimidation, and harassment. We started using that last year. It is a tool that we want everyone to know about to report any instances of any unkind behavior for us to look into, and that is also on our website, and we go over that with students and families at Back to Their Expectation site. And then our final piece is page 15 to 19. We updated the language to reflect changes to 37H and 3/4, which pretty much summarizes that we as a school district need to look into alternative remedies to suspension when it comes to that, including the documentation of different interventions that we've tried before using suspension as a remedy. So those are our updates for 23-24.
Excellent, thank you. Any questions from the committee? Just wanted to make a comment real quick about the agendas. My incoming freshman requested an agenda, and I think it's for the middle school's efforts to really get that executive function focus. So
It's good to hear.
yeah, it was voluntary, he wanted it, so I was happy about that. Thank you. All right, nothing else. I'll take a motion on the Gates Middle School Handbook.
I make a motion to approve the 2023-2024 Lester J. Gates Middle School Handbook as presented.
Okay, motion by Mr. Gates,
Second.
second by Ms. Barkowski. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the motion passes 5-0. And we'll go to Scituate High School. Principal Oranger.
How are you guys?
Hi, how are you?
We got agendas coming tomorrow for the orientation. Yeah, we got some freshmen.
Amazon return.
I didn't, Bill found some, about 200 of them or so in the back, so we're gonna,
Awesome, that's great.
we didn't pay for
Save me
them.
$10.
Turn
Oh,
Certainly
you
will.
bought one? Oh,
I'm gonna have one tomorrow.
Okay, so this is my first year looking at the handbook, and I went through it with guidance, Tammy Rundle. We went through it pretty intensively. There's a lot of changes to it. Some are just worded and some policy things. So I'll buzz through it as quickly as I can. So the cover pages, we're just changing the date, of course, the school year. On page 5, we took out SAT test program. On page 44, change section in the handbook. It's not relevant. On page 9, name changes to central office and our Scituate High School staff. Page 10, I added my welcome letter, took out the previous principal's welcome letter, added mine. On page 12, we added the new mission statement and the new core values and beliefs. Page 17, added the word "and" emails as a way to communicate if we weren't able to reach parents through the phone. Page 20, under corridor passes, we deleted the e-haul pass because we're not using the e-haul passes. Page 20, changed directed study to anchor blocks. Page 22, we added the words when applicable under the school safety protocols. On page 23, we deleted the visitor ID wordage because we do not hand out visitor ID badges on lanyards. We put a picture of them in the front. On page 23, under levels of instructions, we changed the wordage to grade point average to current grades. On page 24, we added the pronoun they. On page 28, changed secretary to administrative assistants. On page 28, under school counseling services, deleted 2 sentences about counseling roles that were not relevant. On page 29, under school counseling services, took out the last 2 paragraphs that wasn't relevant. I don't know if you've seen our handbook, but it's pretty long. Yeah, it's a lot. On page 33, we changed the consequences in the attendance and loss of credit section. So what we did was we're kind of getting a concrete tier now. On the third unexcused absence or tardy, we're going to meet with the students all individually and contact home. Some parents may not even be aware if the students are coming in tardy, so we're going to contact home and make them aware of it. On the fifth unexcused absences, we're going to sign an office detention and contact home. Then every third absence afterwards will be an extended detention or Wednesday morning detention. And again, that's just to make sure that we get our kids to school on time. When I reached out to the staff, I sent a Google form, and it's one of their concerns about getting school kids on time in school. And we believe that'll improve learning and improve education if we have them there more often. And then I added that any of the above infractions may be given an alternative decision at the discretion of the building principal. We might have some situations. I had a parent meeting this morning, and the parent was very concerned about her daughter and some of her anxieties that she may be late to school and mom's going to drive her. So I said, we will work with that for sure for that young lady. On page 35, under the tidy school, we added in contact home. That was not in there. On page 36, we changed the discipline to cut class discipline. It had multiple day suspensions for kids that cut in class, and we don't want to suspend kids out of schools for cutting class. So we have alternative things that we'll do, office detentions, 2 office detentions, so on and so forth. Page 36, under truancy from school, we crossed out the Saturday detentions because we don't have Saturday detention. On page 37, under advanced placement classes, we crossed out AP exam fees due prior to academic school year because we don't collect fees prior to the academic school year. On page 39, under community service, we changed the hours in more of a tiered system. Guidance helped me with this. It's 30 hours for the class of 2024, 40 for the class of 2025, and 50 for the class of 2026. The previous numbers were COVID related, I believe. Page 39, in a grade point average, we put in a clearer description of how the GPA is calculated. On page 40, under graduation requirements, we changed the freshman and sophomore credits to 28 because students have been, because studies have been removed from their schedule. On page 43, under homework expectations, we changed 1 day to 2 days, which is just a misprint. We added the pronoun they on page 47. 56 and 57 also added the pronoun they. On page 52, under National Honor Society, we crossed out guidance office because it's published in Aspen. On page 70, under the 4th offense of cell phone violation, we changed an office detention to 2 office detentions because we do not have a Saturday detention. Then on page 75, we added the link for the updated due process laws by the state, the 37H and 37H and a half. Wow.
Very thorough though, so we appreciate that. Any questions?
I just have one question. Could you just help explain what an office detention is? What is an office detention?
So we're gonna have the students, if they in office detention, they're gonna come down to the office or to a room where we're gonna have it covered by a faculty member and serve a detention. It's about 50 minutes long or so, where they can do schoolwork and academics and things like that.
During the regular school day?
Yes, at the end of the day, yeah.
End of the day.
End of the day, yeah.
Thank you.
But we're not gonna have any, because we're gonna be there motivating them to get to school on time every day and be there. It's gonna be all motivation.
I have a question about the community service. So beginning for the class of 2026, the 50 hours, that's the pre-COVID requirement. So all the classes after that will be 50 hours?
Yes, yeah.
Thank you.
So we'll remember that. Oh, we'll remind you. Keep track. All righty, great. Take a motion on the Scituate High School handbook.
I will make a motion to approve the 2023-2024 Scituate High School handbook as presented.
All right, motion by Mr. Gates,
I will second.
second by Ms. Fenwick. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank
I'm
you.
also presenting the athletic handbook. Mr. Payne is ill today, so I have his in front of me as well.
Great.
Okay, on page 1, he changed the date, 2023, 2024. On page 6, he removed COVID-19 restrictions. On page 7, he added the word the between from and previous. On page 7, he removed payment of the user fee does not guarantee playing time. On page 9, he changed participation to participate. On page 9, he changed, I can't see anymore, he changed 8:10 to 8:15. On page 17, he added an apostrophe after the word students. On page 23, he changed discrimination was spelled wrong. And on page 32, he changed 2022, 2023 to 2023, 2024.
Questions on the athletic handbook? Okay, great, we'll take a motion on that.
Make a motion to approve the 2023-2024 athletic handbook as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Gates.
I'll second.
All right, second by Ms. Fenwick. All in favor? Aye. All right, motion passes 5-0. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, leadership report, Superintendent Burkett.
Thank you, Ms. Brandolini, and good evening, everyone, and Happy New Year. Our first school committee meeting for the school year starts, and we've been very busy. And notice should have went out to all families and caregivers today that we start school for grades 1 through 12 on Tuesday, September 5th, and then kindergarten and early childhood will start the next day on September 6th. So I want to mention that, and we will be ready. The teachers start Wednesday, new teachers start tomorrow. So the new year is upon us, and we're very excited. I do want to share tonight a few things that were happening over the summer, because we're the district that doesn't sleep. I think for those that go on summer vacation and break, it's important that we talk about the important work and the people that are here, continuing to build something special here in Scituate. And the strategic plan, obviously, just to summarize, was approved last spring by the school committee. This summer, the leadership team in our summer retreat broke that down in detail, just to review it, make sure we're on top of it, and looked into action steps to implement it. We'll be sharing that during our school improvement plans through our principals and through our goals and the superintendent's goals upcoming. And the principals are prepared and on opening day with the teachers to start implementing that in the process, and bringing everyone up to speed on a gradual level, piece by piece. It's a thorough document, we believe, and it's the best thing about it, I think, is it's very unique to Scituate, and it had a great deal of input. In fact, in my 29 years, I think the community and the students and the families and committee and administrators and teachers were super involved in the focus groups, the visionary groups, the surveys. So we just had a lot of great input, and I think we held true to it. I also want folks to know that the strategic plan is a guide. It's something we will certainly work to achieve and have full confidence that we will. But also know that we will be doing a lot of other things as well. And a lot of that is stuff we've already got in place and some new things going on too. So it's not the end all be all of what we are and what we do. That being said, I want to talk a little bit about the Cushing-Hatherley school building project. And now that we're coming back to school, I want to make folks very aware of that, is work's been ongoing over the summer, several meetings, public meetings, and they will continue. I wanted to give folks out there some access points to go in, and if you haven't been following or if you want to brush up, we have a whole section of our website dedicated to that school project. And it's scit.org, scit.org for the school, and under the community tab, you'll see the Cushing-Hatherley project. Pretty easy to find and has all the meetings, minutes, video footage of public meetings, questions, and we're excited to roll out very shortly a frequently asked questions document, which is a culmination of all of the questions that we've received from the community, school community, and greater community. We hope to make that an easy document, and that will be a living, breathing document where, as questions change and evolve and answers change and evolve, we will update that. So we're excited to do that. We want to thank the town who also included a link on their homepage to our website. And if you want to check that out, it's scituatema.gov. So either place you can find that. We're trying to make it very accessible to folks, or when in doubt, just reach out to your principal or central office, and we can share any information you need on that. In line with that, we wanted to update folks on all the capital projects that were happening over the summer. There was a lot of construction going on here, and I think this ties into the MSBA and school building project hand in hand, because our promise has been that because we're looking to build one new school and consolidating the Cushing and Hatherley, at the same time, we're not only maintaining, but upgrading all our other schools. And that only goes for capital, but it goes for educational too. So anything we do with the new school, we want to make sure that we can come as close as possible to replicating that at all our other buildings. So that's been philosophically something we've been proud of and want to do. So I want to I'm going to call on a friend here to have our new business and finance director, Dr. Tom Rabb, come up. And I want to thank his predecessor, Dr. Dutch, for starting this process. Also want to thank Tom for taking it over, and all the folks that were involved in all the projects over the summer. And even going back, I want to thank the committee for all your support in approving these projects. And then to our friends over at the town administrator, the capital committee, and then the greater community for voting on these capital projects. And I wanted to make sure that folks knew that we were not only taking advantage of implementing this, using their hard-earned money and taxpaying dollars to make our schools a destination location for all our students, current and in the future. And Tom's going to give us a little breakdown. And again, in my 29 years, I've never had this many capital projects in one entire year, let alone in 2.5 months over the summer. And the good news is that we're pretty much on task to have them all shiny and new and ready to go as the kids come into school next week. So I'll turn it over to Tom and give us an update on where we stand, and then we'll entertain any questions you may have.
Thank you, Superintendent Burkhead, for that introduction. I came in the last 2 months of this multiple year projects, and I got to do the fun part. I got to watch everything get built and get put up. So it's been a real lot of fun this summer. When Dr. Dutch and I met at the end of June, my first meeting was a pre-construction meeting for the Jenkins roof. And he was explaining to me all the work that had been done and had been planned for the Jenkins roof. So and we'll start with the Jenkins just to begin. The Jenkins roof was a project, and I guess that roof had been leaking for many, many years. It is now completely redone. So we took the old roof off, put a brand new roof on, not only the roof, but new gutters, a new rainwater management system. All of the rooftop units have been secured, and the roof survived last Friday's deluge. That was our big test. And so all of that worked, and it's been doing really well at the Jenkins. And then also at the Jenkins, we'll be starting that playground project in October. So we're looking exciting to have a brand new playground sponsored by the CPC as well as the PTO at the Jenkins. So all's been moving forward, and that project will be finished this week. As a matter of fact, I think they're finishing tomorrow. At the Wampatuck School, if you've been by there recently, you'll see that they've done what's called a binder course, which is an initial course of pavement there. That project really started at the beginning of August. I put a lot of pressure on the contractor to finish that by the end of this month, and they've done really well. Today, they're finishing all the sidewalks, all of the, where the students are gonna walk, all of that will be ADA compliant by the end of the week. And then people will be able to drive on that, will be able to open school, and then on weekends in September, they'll put the top course on there for the paving, and that'll be done by the end of September, if not sooner than that. Also at the Wampatuck, we replaced all the flooring in all the classrooms. So it's been, and again, these are multiple year capital projects that are coming into fruition right now. And those are done. Those are finished over the weekend, and the floors are all completed. Here at the high school, they have replaced the roof with a 2-layer system that again has survived all the storms and survived everything that's happened this summer. And opposite to what was done at the Wampatuck, here at the high school, we replaced all the flooring in the hallways. So if you walk in the hallways here in the first and second floor, all of that flooring has been replaced here at the high school. So really exciting stuff, and I look forward to the future and continuing some of these capital projects. The other thing I wanted to do is also give a shout out to the town DPW and maintenance, because during the whole summer, if you've been through capital projects, you know it takes a lot of people to make them happen. And so here at the high school, you've seen they put some speed humps in and traffic signage to slow people down as they're driving around the high school. At the Wampatuck, in order to get the paving project ready, we had to enlist the DPW to come in and remove some shrubbery that had overgrown. They did that quickly so that it didn't hold up the project. At the Cushing, they've maintained the grounds. At Jenkins, they've maintained the grounds. They were very helpful at the Hatherley, where we had the ECC program there over the summer and have done some pothole filling. And most recently, they're going to be cleaning up and adding mulch and wood chips to all the play areas. So they have been a wonderful partner over the summer, and I look forward to continuing to work with them. So again, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Rabb. And I think you'll,
I think it's fixed.
Yeah, I just muted that.
Thank you.
thank you, Dr. Rabb. That's important. And the town also did reline all the parking lines in our high school, middle school parking lot, which is really important as they fade each year, so for safety.
To mention one thing that in doing this Wampatuck parking lot, one of the subsequent benefits is that the playground in the back there that historically has flooded, I believe that the new redesign of the parking lot will limit the flooding that Principal Reardon has probably seen at the playground. That's something that was a really, I thought, again, I'm a neighbor and I used to see it flooding, I'd walk over, I'd go, why is this happening? I never really knew, but I think that simply the water was running off from the parking lot into the playground, and with the new redesign, hopefully that will take care of itself. So we kind of got two for one deal out of the playground, out of the parking lot, I think. I'm hoping.
I agree that the drainage was a problem in the grade, and that was all adjusted to. So I agree with you. It'll be much better.
Any other questions, anyone, comments? Thank you so much, Superintendent Burkhead, for your work with the town and on all these projects over the years. And I know it's a lot. And it's really great to see all these things coming full circle now. Appreciate that, and work with our town capital committee and select board and DPW. Much appreciated. And the end of it all is for students to have the best experience here. So it's great, really nice.
Thank you, and thank you for one of those takes a village to make this all happen. And it's nice, like Dr. Rabb said, to report out on the endings when it's actually comes to fruition. So thank you.
Sure. Just to reinforce what you had mentioned originally, tying it back to the Cushing Hatherley project, just sort of really does bring it full circle that it is an absolute main focus to continue to improve our current buildings, both beyond maintenance, but into the improvement zone. So really good to see that happening. Thank you. All right, Assistant Superintendent Driscoll, high school AP summary.
I got that, that's okay. All right, what we're sharing today is a Skyview overview of our advanced placement summary for this year. I hope I can share my screen. And I would invite you, if you have questions or details that you'd like to know, please feel free to shoot me an email, or if there's something about a specific course or anything like that, you're welcome to reach out anytime. So you can see we're embracing our set sail, dream, explore, discover with our advanced placement summary here. Recording in progress. Can you see this okay? Let me zoom out a little bit. Okay, so we're about to start our third year with Mass Insight, and I know you've heard this over and over again. The goals, there are 3 goals for our Mass Insight program, and that's to increase participation in AP, increase performance in AP, and in turn, increase college success. The 3 major things that we do are professional development, regional student Saturday sessions that also include teacher Saturday sessions, and formal practice exams. Something that I realized a lot of people didn't know about these practice exams, Mass Insight is different because it's not giving the kids a practice exam and the teacher scores it themselves. These practice exams actually go to a group of regional teachers who do score these through Mass Insight. So it's an independent score, and that comes back to give the teacher information about how they can adjust instruction, students about what they need to work more on. And so basically it's learning, training, instruction and practice, and that's the cycle. So for the 3 goals, one of them is increased participation. And as you can see here, from 2019 until present, we are now up at 35% of our high school students participating in AP exams. So that's really great news, and that has a lot to do with the additional courses that are being offered. I want to give a shout out to that human geography course. That was a huge hit. And we've really opened up access, and that's a credit to the high school teachers who are doing this work and our Mass Insight team. I have 2 years that are different gray colors because in 2020, that exam was taken at home. Those were abridged exams. It was a whole different world. And in 2021, that was our hybrid year. That was also a little bit of a different pathway when it came to that year. The next we have is increased achievement. So we looked at what percentage of AP students earned at least 1-3 or better. So we have many students who take several AP courses, but as a goal, we want to increase the number of students who take AP and make sure that they earn at least 1-3 on one of their exams. So we are at, with increased participation, we are at 78% of our students earn at least 1-3 or better. So that is a huge accomplishment for those high school teachers and for our Mass Insight team, because typically when you increase participation, these scores do drop because you're expanding and there are kids taking AP who have never taken AP before. So for that to be maintained is huge for them, so I congratulate them. And so what I did with the help of the department chairs, thank you very much, they gave me all of these details, is we have basically a note about the highlights or things we should pay attention to in each of our content areas where we give AP exams. And this year, I switched it to a how are we doing in each content area. We did some last year big picture highlights and areas of that we need to improve on, but this year we just went straight to each department area. Okay, so Physics 1, the average score of 2.73 is actually the highest average in 6 years and is higher than the state average. And if you remember from the spring, this year in our EP Sciences, we're adding lab time. That was a huge issue that we didn't have actual extended lab times in our science courses for AP. In chemistry, it was the first time in at least 5 years to have an average score over 3, and it has the highest number of testers in 5 years, which is 27 students. That's nearly doubling last year. So again, to have increased enrollment and participation plus increased achievement, that's kudos to those teachers. In environmental science, it dropped in average achievement by nearly half a point, but increased enrollment from 4 students last year to 52 students this year, with an anticipated 99 students for FY24. So that's incredible. In math, computer science principles and computer science A are both taught by math teachers. It was an area of strength. The achievement dropped by 1 point, but increased enrollment from 7 students to 22. And for computer science A, the average score of 4 is the highest average in at least 5 years. A high area of need are both of our calculuses, Calculus AB and Calculus BC. We have low qualifying rates, both currently and historically. Calculus AB average increased from 1.86 to 2 and maintained enrollment. Calculus BC increased enrollment by 9 students and decreased from 3 to 2.5 average. In social studies, and I do want to note that social studies is not supported by Mass Insight. Mass Insight is English, math, and science and computer science. So what the social studies teacher and social studies department has done is try to do many of the things, many of the goals that Mass Insight, of course, is moving forward anyway by adding additional courses and increasing enrollment. So human geography has an average of 3.53 in the first year of the course with an enrollment of 30 students. And next year's enrollment anticipated is 61 students. It's incredible. Our US government and politics, you remember our 2 student representatives for the school committee, they were both in this course. The average was 4.29, that's the highest average in at least 5 years. And enrollment is slated to increase to the highest it has been in at least 6 years with 19 students. In psychology, we've steadily maintained an enrollment of 65 students for at least 5 years. Despite no substantial increase or decrease in enrollment, the average score, 3.31, has not been a 4 since 2019. So that's an area where we do want to make sure we get back to our levels from 2019. English, if there's at any point, I know this isn't really dazzling and I might be getting too many numbers and statements, please feel free to interrupt if you have a question or if I'm saying something that might not be clear.
I have a question, but I thought we were waiting.
Yeah, whatever you want to do.
Well, it's up to you. If you want me to slide back and forth, if it's about AP in general, we can read.
It's AP in general.
Oh,
I was
okay.
gonna say.
All right. But if you have something about a slide, please feel free. English literature and composition, the average of 3.48 is the highest average it's been in at least 5 years, other than the take-home test year, which is 3.58, a little bit higher. And English language and composition has sustained achievement and has an enrollment of 112 students. And this, I think you heard Kathy Hall maybe talk about how much she loves Mass Insight. We have the highest participation in Mass Insight for students in this area with gigantic enrollment and great solid achievement. In world languages, we have Chinese language and culture. It's awesome that we offer that. The average of 3 demonstrates sustained achievement, but we do have a priority to increase enrollment in Chinese language and culture exam. French language and culture was actually the lowest it has been in at least 5 years with a 2.75. So we have a priority to increase achievement and enrollment in French language and culture. And in Spanish language and culture, the average score is 3.9, which exceeds the state and global averages. I also wanted to give a shout out here to the students who are earning the Massachusetts Seal of Biliteracy. It is a separate seal for students who are proficient as demonstrated on MCAS and through an AP exam or sometimes MAP testing, whatever we happen to use for a particular language. And each year for the past 2 years, we are substantially increasing the students who earn this different diploma. In fine arts, in 2D art and design, there's a 3.57 average, which just demonstrates sustained achievement. In arts, we do have low enrollment. Typically, it's a group all taught by one art teacher for these courses. And for drawing, the average of 4.5 demonstrates sustained achievement, which means it's up by that. But we have a priority for increased enrollment because no more than 4 exams have been taken yearly, and there were only 2 in FY23. So what's next? We are still focusing to increase participation, increase performance, and college success. We want more students to participate in the Saturday sessions. We, of course, want more students to participate in the formal practice exams. So we'll maintain our current strategies. We're going to increase high school outreach to inform the middle school of opportunities and course selections. So I think in the past, middle school students are exposed to information when they're selecting courses. That's really too late. We really have to, when students arrive at middle school, they have to understand what there is to offer at Scituate High School so they can make decisions early and well-informed. And something that we are pushing with this year are school-based celebrations of learning on display. So it's really important that our students understand why it's important to engage in these rigorous courses and why it's cool to be smart. And we're going to do that through our school-based celebrations with dependents. And today, I'd like to recommend that you check out our high school profile on the DESE website. If you do go to those, the entire DESE website is off for being updated until at least 8 p.m. tonight. So I can't open that up for you right now, but if you need that, I can give that to you in the future. Does anyone have questions or?
Yeah. Nope.
So thank you, Heidi, for presenting that. So going back to the statistics that you shared, the improvement from 28% to 35% in access, and then the scores staying relatively stable, right? The success, which is great. So the thing I think about is, so what are the factors? What's the factors that are contributing to this stability? And so we have Mass Insight, we have teachers, and we have the students themselves. And so I'm curious, when we say increasing access, I understand what that word access means. What I'm curious about is, what do you think's different that's encouraging or motivating students to engage in AP that wasn't happening prior? Like what's the difference? Because I know there's lots of questions about, should I take the AP? And then they get into college in the spring, and then you said not to. So can you just talk to us a little bit, like, what does that look like to market AP and that motivation?
Well, so I think you hit the nail on the head. I think it is actually the marketing of it. That really wasn't something that existed as a formal practice. And that is what Mass Insight helps us with.
Okay.
So I think they call it curriculum night, for example. That's something that the high school does to explain more than beyond the program, the high school program itself, and reaching out to those underclassmen explicitly, formally, explaining the reasons why it is important to engage in rigorous coursework despite where you go to school. Might they take a 3? Do they need a 5? Those conversations started to happen with our core group of those Mass Insight team members. And then that trickles down to departments and inspires people to engage more in professional development. So for example, through Mass Insight, we have free professional development for those intensive AP workshops. So I can go create an AP syllabus and become a qualified AP teacher. We're allowed to submit our own syllabi, but it's really great to get the practices from those groups every summer. We also all of our AP teachers can attend a 2-day refresher workshop in October. Those things, those pieces weren't necessarily there before, and now it's a part of our yearly practice. And the participation has exceeded my expectations, especially with our new courses. It's usually very difficult to fill new courses. Human geography, I cannot emphasize enough how that's not the typical result a school would see. Usually when you see increased participation, you see decrease in achievement for a little bit, and we didn't see that.
Okay.
Thanks, Heidi. I was curious about the 35% as well. That seems really high to me. I don't know if you know the percentages of some of our neighboring districts. Are as many kids taking APs in all districts, or are we an outlier there?
I actually am not familiar with the numbers from other districts with how many students are taking APs, but I can tell you that a part of all the different ranking systems that are all over the place that manipulate our data and do things like that, typically they give people points for how many students take AP exams and how they score on it. So we've steadily been increasing, which is why you would see the high school's ranking changing in all these different types of reports. But I can't offhand.
Yeah, I was just curious because it seems like a lot.
So we also, we were really focused in the past on seniors and juniors taking AP exams. And now we are making sure that there are AP courses for students to take at younger ages. I hope in the future we might even see AP seminar and AP research for students as young as 9th grade.
And I had one other question too about when I see like how you said like AP calculus continues to be a struggle. It reminds me, I think this is in the strategic plan to do some alignment work. Because when I think about that, I think like to Carrie's point, the students are one of the inputs that determine the outputs of scores, and the students' input is really their track record in math so far in all their other courses. And so I'm imagining that some of that alignment work that I believe you've already started, I hope will, I'm curious if you have any more detail.
I can reiterate what you're saying if I hear you correctly. Maria is saying very clearly, if you want to fix calculus A, B, and B, C, you can't start with calculus.
Yes.
You have to start with counting. We have to start from the lower grades and make sure we have a pathway to those rigorous courses. You're absolutely right, and that is work that's being done. I'd like to give a shout out to Liz Grindle and Tara Simonek, who attended the Department of Education's high quality resources for mathematics instruction, 3-day experience. They said it was the best PD they have had in forever. And we are making sure that 6th through 12th this year are examining our actual resources? Are we using high quality instructional materials to make sure that we're in alignment with high expectations across the state?
Yeah, that's great. That's exactly what I was thinking. And I know we have some curriculum shifts in even the elementary school, and it takes time for us to kind of see the benefits of that. But I feel like anytime you can really do that vertical alignment work, you're gonna reap the benefits at some point. So thank you for
Elementary
adding. Yeah.
parents should ask about Gigi and ST Math and ask all your friends about that penguin.
It's a really good point though, Maria. I think you think about like these upperclassmen may not have started with Eureka Math. They have started with some other materials that have changed over the years. So it's interesting the variables that truly go into the outcomes and how to track that over time is challenging, but I think you do a nice job capturing kind of the bottom line with what we're seeing and all the pieces to the puzzle along the way. Very interesting, for sure.
Other questions?
Thanks, Heidi. I guess just a comment is, I don't know how best to word this, but I know that the percentage of students taking it were 35%, but then the number of students earning a 3 was a number, or a number of students taking an exam was a number. Just want to be a little bit cautious of that, especially as our enrollment at the high school may potentially fluctuate. So we're seeing an increase in the number of kids taking it, but maybe next year with our lower enrollment, the number of kids may go down, but doesn't necessarily reflect that.
I don't have a number of students who took it. I have percentages.
But if you bring up one of those subcategories, I think there was a number that you referenced, maybe not.
Yeah, I have participation.
Participation,
percentages.
yeah, the number of participants.
Like 2 fine arts.
Yeah, 2, or it was 24 taking whatever. I'm just a little bit nervous of
I
that
see.
comparison, because if 24 students, if we're looking at the entire, I'm not sure what, if we turn it into a percent, what would that percentage look like?
So when it looks course by course, you are right. If there are fewer students, one student can sway a
Right.
percentage incredibly dramatically, which is why with the art, I wanted to say, hey, that 4.5 is just 2 students.
Okay,
You are right about that.
okay, thank you.
Mhm.
All right, I think that's it. Thank you so much. Might as well stick around, I think. If you wouldn't mind. We have a policy subcommittee update. Let's see, Ms. Lindblom and Ms. Fenwick, and Assistant Superintendent Driscoll. I'll turn it back over to you for policy BDFA first.
Okay, BDFA is the school council policy. And what we spoke about this last spring, when we reviewed all of the DESE guidelines and recommendations. Our subcommittee, of course, looked at those in laws and had some additions for our school council's policy. I can give you the highlights of those. If you look in your backup packet, there's an electronic copy. If you look at, I also provided you a hard copy with color coding. So the first thing is that each school council will have a chair and a co-chair. The principal is the chair of the council, and there is a co-chair who is one of the parent members of the council. Almost like we have a chair of a school committee, and the chair of the school committee works with the superintendent to make the agenda and do those types of things. The school council chair works with the principal to do that. Each year, the chair needs to be elected following the election of the school council themselves. If you look at the green area, the first bullet, what we're doing here is clarifying some things that were not consistent across all schools. So it's really important that it's clear and consistent so we don't have confusion. Parent members are to be selected by the parents of students in the attending school in annual elections held by the local recognized parent-teacher organization by the end of the first term each year. So to clarify, the PTO does run that election. and sends members to that school council. Teacher members are elected annually by the teachers at the school. Many times the STA will give representatives. The student on the school council at the high school level needs to be someone who is elected to represent school members, students. The school council itself shall meet minimally 4 times yearly. Questions about that? Okay. Let's see. School councils do need to conform to the open meeting law. That is a part of the regulations. So we do need to announce that we are having a meeting so everybody's aware. And everyone is allowed to attend the school council meetings. It is not a closed meeting. But the members, much like the school committee is running its school committee meeting, the school council runs the school council meeting for the business of the school. Let's see. And the minutes, the agendas, things like that, of course, will be submitted to the superintendent or designee. And the actual job of the school council was already in our policy. So I can just reiterate that. They adopt educational rules for the school that are consistent with the state and local policies and standards. They identify educational needs of students attending the school. They review the school building budget, and they formulate a school improvement plan that may be implemented only after review and approval by the superintendent. And this is alignment with MASC that was updated in 2022. Questions about that? Or anybody on the committee want to add anything?
I'm just thrilled that the school committee's not allowed to be on it.
It's true. So the purpose of the school, I'll repeat it to everybody why Peter's.
You can be if you want.
I know.
You can run.
Yeah.
No,
You can
the
run.
purpose of the school council
Yep, you
is
can
to,
run.
is to elevate voices that are not already represented.
You can run.
That makes a lot of sense.
No, that's cool.
As a parent, right?
Doesn't
I don't
say we're
know. I think we-
excluded.
Yeah, we're not, we can
Um,
run, we can run.
You can read the guidance for
Yeah.
best practices.
Best practices, we don't run, of course.
You can read the guidance for
There
best
are,
practices.
but that is
In some
open to you, Peter, if you
No,
want
it's
to
great,
not
no,
follow
because it was,
best
again, I know we talked about it
Did
before,
I
but it was
give
so
that
hard
to
for us,
school council?
for us as school members to get to these meetings, and
Yeah.
it was like, I felt, again, I try to go to all the meetings that I can, and these were ones I just missed regularly, it was, I didn't like that, so I'm glad that we don't have the demands to be part of these committees. How's that?
And again, the purpose is to elevate voices that don't
Yeah.
already have a voice.
And it helps us to sort of do better with our other duties as well.
And
Yep.
but this is a wonderful problem to have. In some
Yeah.
school districts, there is no election. They beg people to join
Yeah.
because they don't have enough people to serve on anything. So we're in great shape with contributions.
Great. So elections for that are always at the start of the school year? They'll be
By the
formatted.
end, it has to be during the
Says by
school
the
year.
end of the
Yeah.
first term.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
By the end of the first term, but it needs to be during the
Okay,
school
yes.
year.
Okay.
So we're not excluding kindergarten parents or people who transfer in,
Right.
so we can't have them at the end of the previous.
Yeah, yeah.
Are teachers elected or selected?
So they could be elected if many people are interested. Typically we have to recruit some people.
So if the school council meetings are subject to open meeting laws, will there be a part in the agenda where there's public comment?
That's not required.
It's not required. I didn't know if open meeting laws required public comment or not. Just curious, just want to prepare
Right.
the folks running it.
Yeah, so I will be doing a training with the principals, and then the principals, once they have a school council, they'll do their training, or I will help them if they need to.
Great.
That's it.
Yeah, I think one of the big differences between how it's been happening and with this new policy will be the regularity, at least for. And because it's open meeting law, the minutes and the fact that there is a meeting, all of that is required to have ample notification for parents and anyone who wants to attend. And this also says that the minutes would be shared back with the superintendent or designee. So that's a little bit more formal, I think, than
Agreed.
it has been. But I think that's ultimately a really good thing. I'm pleased with the way we've done this. I think PTOs still retain a lot of power to run the election how they want. It does say it needs to be, fair, open, without the influence of anyone else, which is really important, obviously. But I hope that this gives more parents more opportunity to really get engaged with their school.
Yeah, it's great. Like,
Just just having to announce it is a big step forward, I think, and just honors our goal for being transparent with everything. So, good job, policy group.
yes, well done. All right, that being said, we'll take a motion on policy BDFA. Excellent.
Turn it off on you.
I make a motion to vote to update policy BDFA as presented.
Great. Motion by Ms. Lindholm,
Second.
second by Mr. Gates, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes 5-0. Great.
So- I have a,
Eric.
I'm not, sorry, no, I'm just slacking this. This is different from that policy we just reviewed. I'm not quite sure the right time to make a comment on it, but we had, or the,
Comment on the motion we just passed?
no,
Okay.
I'm not. And it's not on school, it's not on school councils, but it's on the student advisory council. Something I brought up, I think, a while ago, and it's something that I think that, I'm not sure if the high school has it or not, but we're required to have a student advisory council or committee, and I just wanted to bring that up. But I think by law, we technically are required to have it. There's some information on actually on the state of Massachusetts website. Just says it has a makeup of a school committee, but also says a student advisory committee. Just wanted to bring that up. I know it's totally separate from what we just talked about, but it's on the idea of committees. And ultimately, I think what it comes down to is it should be one student separate from the student reps that come that should informally sit on our committee and have a non-voting
committee?
membership. Yes.
There's one it says on the school council.
Yeah,
There's a student that sits on the school council for high school, where are we
no, this
supposed
is
to have?
separate. That's separate.
This
It's-
is
It
not-
says, well, I just read it from you, from the state of Massachusetts. The members of such student advisory committees shall by majority vote prior to the first day of June each year, elect from their number a chairperson who shall serve for a term of 1 year. Said chairperson shall be an ex officio, non-voting member of the school committee without the right to attend executive sessions, blah, blah, and it goes on and on. It's a position that,
Isn't that our student reps?
it's not, it's
We're
different.
just calling them student reps. but
So
they're-
I do think that typically that is who the student reps are.
Sounds like
Because
it.
they're
Yes.
ex officio, they don't come to executive session.
Right.
That's what
So
they
if
are.
you could send me that link,
Yeah,
I'll make sure I do some research. There
Okay.
is a principals advisory council of Native
Okay.
students. I forget the exact title of it, but they do have that at the high school.
okay.
But I am nearly positive that that's who our student reps are
Okay.
supposed to be, a representative group that then goes back to the students.
I think it is too, and Superintendent Burkhead and I have talked about this too, just a little bit on the long list of things, there are always opportunities for us all to have those students be more active members and not just reporting out on, while it's amazing to hear about all the fun, awesome goings on and activities and clubs and achievements and everything, to be a more active member, sort of civically engaged in our school committee. And maybe that speaks to your point, Peter, to sort of, as we're aligning school councils properly, we can align student rep responsibilities a little bit more, so, and not call them student reps anymore, if that's the appropriate.
Yeah, I honestly don't know, but I believe that they can be potentially one and the same, but the student reps, I think this potential student advisor is slightly different role, which I think can evolve from our current student reps, but I'll send you the info. But again, I think I brought it up, I was a student advisory committee, I looked for my name tag, but I could not find it. But it was a slightly different role, it was not reporting on what was going on in the high school, it was being involved in some of the discussions relative to the school committee.
Were you elected?
Was I elected? I don't recall.
No, I'm really curious.
I think I was appointed, I was on the student council, so I was probably appointed
Okay.
from there, but I don't recall. But I did have a name tag, which I cannot find.
I think it feels like that should be, maybe send it to Heidi and then add
Yeah,
it
I'm
to our,
gonna
add it to our agenda for discussion. Because I think one thing I've noticed is we have invited student reps to be more
This is true.
involved. And I think if we're gonna do this, we need to be clear on what's our goal and what are we asking them to do? Because otherwise, I don't know that anything will change. So it'd be good to have that discussion.
Yeah, and I think to that, yes, exactly, and what, as students show interest, they should be aware of what the commitment is.
Yeah,
what
they can
Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up. All right, next policy on deck here is IKF, graduation requirements.
And so that, I'm confused by the
We
second.
voted,
Okay, so we're good. Just checking.
we voted and we would like to look into the
Other,
student advisory.
I'll send you the info, Heidi,
Thank
and
you.
we'll
So
discuss that.
IFK, this is not an addition to the policy. We're hoping that this is a replacement policy. For at least 3 years, our graduation requirements in the high school handbook did not align with our school committee policy. We would like them to align. So you just approved the high school handbook, which has all of this information in it. And I'll just read what the recommended new policy would be. In order to graduate from Scituate High School, a student must have earned at least 96 credits and have complied with all state competency determination MCAS requirements, specific course requirements for graduation, including community service hours, are in the Scituate High School handbook. So you notice how the community service hours were different for each grade in our policy. That differentiation is not there. Other requirements may be established by the school administration in relation to a particular program. For up-to-date details, please see the high school handbook, beginning with the 2023-24 high school student handbook. So any changes that would need to be made to any graduation requirement would still come before you for a vote, because we cannot change the high school handbook without you making that approval. So this will just assure that we don't have to change it in 2 places and risk not being consistent.
I was just curious, why is MCAS in parentheses? Is that in case the state competency determination changes?
It's one and the same, so it's called a competency determination, which is determined through MCAS.
Okay.
That's,
I think it's a yes.
Yeah.
Currently it's MCAS.
yeah, that's,
But it might, okay, okay.
Just confusing.
I do want to apologize for not bringing this up at our policy meeting, but have you heard rumblings about MCAS being on a ballot this week?
not specifically, so I'm actually on one of the advisory boards for it. The test itself, they're looking for alternative measures, and they're having some districts pilot some alternative measures, which happens every once in a while, like they did that with science last year. But as of right now, for students who are in our schools, this is the only
Okay.
thing that we have. But you're right,
Yeah.
there would have to be entirely different legislation. And if we were to make these determinations ourselves, I don't know if you remember DDMs, which was a lot of interesting school-based work. It might look something like that.
But we could take out the word MCAS here, right?
But this is the mask guided policy.
And it is one and the same.
Yeah, I know it's one and the same, but I'm just saying if we wanted to, we could also just
If
take
we-
that out
if
and
it
it would
changed.
be the same, it wouldn't change
Everybody
the
would.
meaning of
Yeah.
this.
Every
Just-
school district to change it.
They would.
Just making
Yeah.
a clarification.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you take it out, that would be, I don't know if that would be as clear to other people. That's-
Okay.
I'm not gonna quibble over it.
Curious.
can take it out if you want.
No, no.
Sounds like 3 of you want to. All right, I'll take a motion on.
Maria looks ready.
Looking for someone to do something fun. Okay, we'll take a motion on policy IKF.
Okay, so I will approve. I will move to, that we approve policy IKF as presented.
Okay. Motion by Ms. Fenwick,
A second?
second by Ms. Lindblom. All in favor?
Aye.
Right, motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, approval of minutes. We have minutes from June 26th. Hang on, let me check in here.
Oh,
yes, we do. Yep. Seems like a while ago, but there they are. Anything here that anyone wants to make mention of? If not, take a motion.
All right. I vote to approve the June 26th, 2023 minutes as written.
Thank you, Ms. Lindblom.
1 second.
Second by Ms. Fenwick. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. All right. No warrants this evening?
No, he hasn't.
Oh, okay. I meant, oh, there it is. Okay, see it? I see it. 3 warrants.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Order.
As
I'll sneak one in.
Superintendent Burkhead said, Happy New Year. So we started the fiscal year at the beginning of July. So this evening you have just the 3 warrants that we did in July, and then our next meeting I'll catch up and do August. But basically at the beginning of every year, we renew all of the software that runs the district, all of the big software. And we've certainly been spending money on the capital items as well through those projects. But just for totals, for the July 6th warrant was $96,054.10. For July 13th, $465,964.50. That includes, is mostly the roofing materials for the high school here. And then for July 20th, $500,441.67. Again, primarily that's the renewal of the buses every year.
Okay. Thank you very much.
That's the short version.
Sounds good. Appreciate that. All right. Any correspondences? Yes. Thank you very much. Did you want to speak to this at all, Heidi? No. Thank you for the
It's a gift from central
The gift?
office.
Oh, that's really.
Thank you very much, central office. And any other business that anyone has to add? Okay.
Happy first day of school.
Yeah.
Happy first day of school.
Tomorrow's freshman orientation, right?
Today was middle school.
Tomorrow's question.
Tomorrow's freshman orientation.
I want to add one quick thing, just thank you to school committee members for, and Superintendent Burkhead and everybody here for attending we had our nice retreat together to work on some important pieces of business. And I wanted to thank everybody for their input. And I think something that came of that, of really good feedback and improvement, is closing some loops and things. I'm looking forward to doing that a little bit better on public comment pieces or questions or things that might come up, that we kind of close those loops and make sure that we follow up through, an old business agenda item, at least to make sure that we're being thorough. So just want to make sure that we're being on top of things, transparent, and getting people to whomever it would be the best to answer questions that may come up, and also to, get those things out to the public as needed. Okay, anything else? Anyone? Future agenda items? Nothing. No, all right, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn at 7:30.
So moved. I second. I can't say that anymore.
All right, second by Ms. Lindblom, all in favor?
Aye.